The history of King Arthur. At the end of the 5th century, Britain came under the leadership of a man named Arthur. He was a real man, but very little is known about him. There are lots of legends told about Arthur and his followers, known as the Knights of the Round Table. Unfortunately, most of these are just made-up stories. He may have been a brilliant commander in charge of the British army or a high king like Vortigern. A monk named Nennius wrote a document telling how Arthur was a Christian who fought 12 great battles against the Saxons. The most important of these was his spectacular victory at the Battle of Mount Badon. Some people think this was somewhere near Bath in Somerset. The Saxons then stayed within their small settlements and did not move into new areas for a whole generation. A document called the Welsh Annals recorded that Arthur died at the Battle of Camlan. He was either fighting alongside or against a man named Merdrod. No one knows where this battle took place. The Legend of King Arthur. After Arthur's birth, Merlin became the young boy's tutor while he grew up with his foster father. In the defining moment of Arthur's career, Merlin arranged for the Sword in the Stone, Excalibur, contest by which the lad became king. In the romances, Merlin is the creator of the Round Table and is closely involved in aiding and directing the events of the king and the kingdom of Camelot. He is pictured by Geoffrey of Monmouth at the end of Arthur's life, accompanying the wounded Arthur to the Isle of Avalon for the healing of his wounds. Others tell how, having fallen deeply in love with the Lady of the Lake, he agreed to teach her all his mystical powers. She became so powerful that her magical skills outshone even Merlin's. Determined not to be enslaved by him, she imprisoned the old man in a glass tower, a cave, or similarly suitable prison. Thus, his absence from the Battle of Camlan was ultimately responsible for Arthur's demise. The names of the 25 knights inscribed on the Winchester Round Table are given as King Arthur, Sir Galahad, Sir Lancelot du Lac, Sir Gawain, Sir Percival, Sir Lionel, Sir Tristram de Lyonesse, Sir Gareth, Sir Bedivere, Sir Bleoberis, Sir Lactimel Tile, Sir Lucan, Sir Palomedes, Sir Lamorac, Sir Boris de Ganis, Sir Safer, Sir Peleas, Sir Kay, Sir Ector de Maris, Sir Dagonet, Sir Degore, Sir Brunor Lenor, Sir Le Bel Desconnet, Sir Alamir, Sir Mordred. The 12 basic rules of the Knights of the Round Table were to never lay down arms, to seek after wonders, when called upon, to defend the rights of the weak with all one's strength, to injure no one, not to attack one another, to fight for the safety of one's country, to give one's life for one's country, to seek nothing before honor, never to break faith for any reason, to practice religion most diligently, to grant hospitality to anyone, each according to his ability, whether in honor or disgrace, to make a report with the greatest fidelity to the truth, to those who keep the annals. This is the legend of King Arthur. Robin Hood, the history. Was Robin Hood real? For centuries, fans and scholars have looked to find if there was a real man behind the legend, and they've found several Robin Hoods, Little Johns, and the like. Finding a real Robin Hood is quite a feather in one's cap. Several books and TV shows have claimed that Robin Hood was most certainly real, but this is sensationalism. We have few facts about any of the historical outlaws named Robin Hood. We aren't even sure that some of them were outlaws. The Legend of Robin Hood. Riding through the royal forest of Sherwood on a glorious May morning, you don't have a care in the world. Then you hear a bird call, the faint rustling of the trees, and suddenly a man armed with a long bow appears in your path. He wears a feathered cap, or is that a hood? You can't see the man's face clearly, but you don't have to. He is dressed in Lincoln green, the color of Robin Hood, the most famous English outlaw of all time. Don't worry, he won't harm you. Not yet, anyway. He'll invite you to join him and his outlaw band for a feast. The meal of choice? Venison, freshly killed deer. Only a king is allowed to hunt it, but then Robin Hood never did worry about the law. After your feast, Robin or his faithful lieutenant, Little John, will ask you a question. How much money are you carrying? If you answer truthfully, you may keep all that you have. If you need money, then Robin will give or lend you some. But if you lie to him, if you hoard your money, well, you won't have that money for very long. You'll be stripped of your clothes and cash, tied backwards on your horse, and sent back to Nottingham in shame. And your money? It will go to help someone in need. Most people love Robin Hood, and that's a good thing. Just as commoners are allowed to hunt harmful wolves, anyone can hunt Robin Hood. The sheriff would pay for Robin's capture just as surely as he would pay for a wolf's head. Robin and his band are often called wolf sheaths for their enemies. Robin Hood is an outlaw. That means he lives outside the protection of the law. But Robin is a law unto himself. He's the self-styled king of the greenwood, either Sherwood Forest in Nottinghamshire or Barnesdale in Yorkshire. Robin is no common criminal. As the famous saying goes, he robs from the rich and gives to the poor. The poor have little to fear from Robin Hood. His enemies are the rich and corrupt, especially the sheriff of Nottingham, and the bad apples in the church, like the abbot of St. Mary's and the bishop of Hereford. Robin defends the underdog against oppression. Sometimes he fights for the Saxons. The Saxons are better known as the English, and for a time they lived under the cruel domination of the Normans, the French-speaking descendants of Vikings. In many modern stories, Robin fights for an England where Norman and Saxon can live together in peace. Although Robin is an outlaw, a thief, and a rebel, he is usually a strong supporter of the rightful king, especially when that king is Richard the Lionheart. But Robin will not fight for Richard's corrupt brother, the usurper prince and later king, John. But surely Robin's strongest allegiance is to his band of merry men, Little John, Friar Tuck, Will Scarlet, Much the miller's son, Allan of Dale, and above all, Maid Marian, his true love. Robin Hood is a champion archer. Once he snuck into a Nottingham archery tournament. The prize for winning the contest was an arrow with a silver shaft and golden head and feathers. It was a tough contest. Some people say Robin's leading opponent shot an arrow into the center of the target. It seemed impossible to beat that shot. But bold Robin Hood took aim and shot an arrow with an uncanny precision that it split the opponent's arrow in two. Thus, Robin won the tournament and the gold and silver arrow. Some tales say Robin can split a mere branch from over 300 yards away.